Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to K2's Road to Excellence with Excel, Part 15, and Intuit Canada. This is Alan Salmon, and I'm pleased that so many of you have joined me for the first session in our fall group. I'm delighted that we have Casey Sims with us today. Casey is out of our U.S. office, which is located in Hammond, Louisiana. And if you want to know exactly where, it's just north of New Orleans, right across Lake Pontchartrain. And Casey is your go-to person for technical issues and for questions. Before we begin, a couple of comments, and that is within 10 days of today, we will send you the recording, my teaching notes, my teaching files, the answers to the questions, and your CPD certificate. You can submit questions anytime, and you do that through the chat window. And after today's webinar is completed, Casey will send the questions to Tom and myself. We will answer them, and you will get all the questions and the answers when we send you the recording. At the end of today's session, you'll be asked to complete a short exit survey. I think today it's 8 questions, and it shouldn't take you any more than 1 minute to answer, and we encourage you to do that. Now, the other key thing today is, as usual, Casey will be putting up 4 polling questions. Those are multiple choice. The answers don't matter. You don't have to get it correct, but what you do have to do is select one of the possible answers and click on Submit, because that timestamps your registration, and we use that when we send out the CPD certificates. If you answer 3 of the 4 questions, you will get a CPD certificate for 1 hour of verifiable credit. If you don't, you'll still get a CPD certificate for 1 non-verifiable hour. Now let's move to Excel and my session today. Those of you who were with me in early August know that I spent a short period of time on a key thing, and that is array formulas. And the second example that I did covered the use of array formulas with the round formula. And I confused some of you, and I hope to end that confusion today. But before we start, Casey, can you put up the first polling question, please? And Casey, when you get to about 95%, let's close the poll and show the answers. Okay, 5, 4, and there we go. This is the first time in 40 mini webinars when I've had 0 that are an array guru. All right, so I want to do something with the 73%, and I want to enhance the knowledge of the 23%. So please close the poll, Casey, and give me my screen back. Okay, forget about columns F, G, and H, and I want you to focus on this simple table right here. Apples, kiwi, lemons, mango, peaches. We've sold this many. The price is this. And of course, the standard way, and I did it for many years, is to create the subtotal by multiplying sold times price, and then copying it down, and then doing a total. And that's not a big deal. But what if I don't need the subtotal and I want to skip all of these intermediate steps and get that? Well, here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to put in equal that times that. So I've got equal G6 to G10 times H6 to H10. I'm going to close the bracket and I'm going to hit enter. and there's an error. It can't actually do it because there is no way that that formula can be executed. I need to do equal sum, and now I need to do this times this, put in the bracket, and there we go. So when I put in the when Excel puts in the two braces, what Excel then says is, okay, let's do 10 times 5 is 50, keep it in memory, plus 30 times 650, keep it in memory, and so on. So it's doing all the intermediate steps, keeping it in memory, and just giving me the results. Now think if this was 1,000 items and I just needed that calculation. Now I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put a brace here. I'm typing it in, and I'm going to put a brace here, and I'm typing it in, and I'm going to hit enter. And I don't get anything. So the moral of the story is that I can only get the array formula if, so equal sum, bracket, first item to multiply or range to multiply, multiply, the second range to multiply, and then I do Control Shift Enter, and there we go. So let's take it to the next step on this sheet right here. And I've got, again, a situation where I have a sales tax, and the sales tax is calculated at 10% of the selling price. So 10% of 50 is $5 and so on, okay? But what if I don't need this intermediate step? What if I just want to know the total, including the sales tax? So here's the basic calculation. I want to sum G16 to G20. That. I want to multiply it by H16 to H20. And then I want to multiply it by the sales tax rate, which in this case is 5%. And now I do Control Shift Enter, and there we go. Now, the reason why this is showing 93 is because I use 10% as in the calculation. So there is the array formula with 10%, notice, times 0.1. Far better solution is, of course, in this example, is to do it here, so I can change this to 13% and get it what it would be in Ontario. Next example is this one. I want to know which of these items had the most improvement in sales or the greatest increase in sales between February sales, and that should be March sales, my apologies. So there is a formula to do that, and it's equal max. So look up at the command line, and we're saying, what is the maximum value in C6 to C10, and then subtract for that the equivalent value in the prior month. And when I do Control Shift Enter, notice what I get. 20. So I highlighted that to make it stand out. 40 minus 20 is 20, and that's the highest increase. So there's a practical solution to. Now let's go here, and here's what I have. I have this, and I want to create this, which is just spinning it by 90 degrees. And to do that, there is a function called transpose. So what I'm saying is transpose the values of A5 to F10, the absolute values, in wherever, now I know that, in, what do I need? I need 6 by 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there we go. So up here I say equal transpose bracket that bracket, Control Shift Enter, and there we go. Now, I deliberately did this. The reason I get an NA here is there's no data on this row, and I can't change it. I'd have to go back and redo it. And somebody out there is probably thinking, but you could do the same thing if you did this. Copy, go home, go to Paste Special, and go to Transpose. And the problem is that I didn't highlight it. And that will actually do the same thing. So why would I use an array formula? Well, I'm going to get into that in the next example. Before I get into array constants, I want to go up here. I want to highlight this, and I want to go up here to the formula ribbon and to the name manager, and I want to create a new range name, and we're going to call it in Casey's honor. So we're going to call it Casey, and it's A5 to D5. Okay, and there it is. Now, if I want to use that range name, I will go here, and there's Casey. So now it's highlighted those 4 cells, and I could use it, that range name, in a formula, or I could copy it. But all it does is show me the cells involved. Now, let's do an array constant, and I'm going to do it this way. Actually, I've got to go here and create another name manager. So I'm going to delete Casey, and I'm going to do a new Casey. And here's where I was totally confused for a long time. I'm going to type in brace 1, 2, 3, 4 and a closing brace. And instantly, 483 of you are saying, you told me I couldn't type in a brace. That's for a normal function. However, we're creating a range name array. And by the way, the commas mean that it will display on the screen horizontally. Okay. So let's close. And let's do this. I'm highlighting 4 cells, which we need to do, by the way, in all cases where we want to use constants like this. I'm going to type in equal KC, Control Shift Enter, and there we go. So I want to have a range name for a vertical array. So I'm going to go to the name manager, and this time I'm not going to type it in because I've created it in the interest of time. Look down at the bottom, equal brace 11 semicolon 22 semicolon 33 semicolon 44. The semicolon says to Excel, do it vertically. So this time I will do it right, and the name of it is vertical. So in go the 4 cells, in go equal vertical, Shift Control Enter, and there we go, and I did 5 again. So you got to watch. So what's the beauty of having an array constant? Well, what it means is anywhere on the worksheet or on any sheet in the workbook, I merely go in and type equal vertical, Control Shift Enter. There we go. Now down here, I want to create a 2-dimensional array constant, and I've already got that done. So I'm going to do that. And notice what I've got down here. I've got equal brace quote a quote, because that's a character or a letter, comma, quote B quote, comma, C quote, and then I've got a semicolon, 1, 2, 3. And in this case, what that is telling Excel is to put ABC on this line, drop a line, and put 1, 2, 3. So does it work? I need 6 cells. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I forgot what I called it. Oh, too dim. All right, up here, equal 2 dim. Control Shift Enter, and there we go. So let's try to understand what we're doing here. We're creating a range name, and we're creating it as an array constant, which means we go equal and then whatever we want in here, separated by commas if it's horizontal, separated by semicolons. And then anywhere in the workbook, I can run that range name. And yes, I could copy and paste. And yes, I could do it as a recording macro. There are lots of times when I'll do it as a horizontal or vertical. Let me give you another example of this. So I have Sunday, Monday to Saturday. And yes, I could do it this way. Just select it, go to the bottom right-hand corner, and go there. But in complicated things that I want to copy, I might turn it into an array formula, which I've done. So if we go to the name manager, and we go down to days, look at what we've got. equal brace, quotes, unquote, comma, quote, unquote, and so on. Closing brace. Okay, so I need it over here. I go equal days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Equal days, Control Shift Enter. And now to wrap up, I want to do this. And here's what I have. I have a set of numbers in column A. It happens to be 7, but it could be 7,000. And I want to know what the 3 largest numbers are in this set. And to use that, there is a function in Excel called equal large. And the way you use it is you type in equal large, highlight the cells, comma, a number. So if it's comma 1, that will give me the largest number in the set. If it's 2, it will give me the 2 largest numbers, and if it's 3, and so on. So I'm going to use an array function to do that calculation. The function is equal sum, because I want to add up the 3 numbers. Use the large function on A3 to A9, and then use an array constant. Well, before we move on, let's take a look at that array constant. And I called it large. And notice that it's equal brace 1, 2, 3 brace. So when I run that, that's saying in here, add up the 3 largest numbers. And we got 95. And if you notice, the 3 largest numbers are 20, 35, and 40, and that very kindly adds up to 95. Now again, I've only touched the tip of the iceberg. In complex work, arrays and array constants can be hugely useful. But that's a topic for a much longer webinar. So before I pass the torch to Tom, Casey, can we have the last polling question, please? So which of the following tools have you used? And check all that apply. So Casey will close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just as I thought, slicers are an interesting way of doing research on a set of numbers. In other words, showing me what the numbers really represent. And that, folks, is an insight into the next seminar I will do or webinar that I will do in 2 weeks. So it's now time to bring in Tom from Intuit.
That looks like my screen and we're off. Hi everybody, my name is Tom. I am the product marketing manager for the accountant ecosystem at Intuit. And what that means is that anytime there's a new feature in QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Online Accountant, the occasional profile feature, my job is to make sure that all of you know about it. And hopefully before your your clients do. So that's kind of my role. I'm one who sends you a lot of emails about new features. I'll be on the guy on social telling you about all this stuff. So that's my job. So if you don't know about something, that's my fault. So hopefully today we'll walk through some new stuff that's come out, and let's get into it. There's a bad pun for you all. So we'll start off today just talking about what Intuit's up to in 2018, going into 2019. We'll talk about what is new in QuickBooks Online since the last update that I gave for Alan Salmon. The webinar was in June, I think, last, and so I'll kind of touch on that, and then we'll talk about what's been new since then. Also in QuickBooks Online Accountant, a couple new awesome stuff, and then what we're working on next, what you can look forward to, and how you can stay in touch with us. I think Alan mentioned that questions will be sent to me afterwards, and I'll do my best to respond back to them. Otherwise, I will show you some ways to get in touch with us, potentially even faster than that. Cool, so let's dive in. A big push we want to keep reminding everybody is that Intuit is investing heavily in Canada. And so what I mean by that is that we're investing in our people in every sense of the word. So your account manager is Canadian. When you need something, you can call them up. You can talk to a person there. Every single person who has a QuickBooks Online account has an account manager with Intuit. If you don't have one, definitely give us a call, or you're not sure who they are, give us a call. We also have Canadian support teams. So when you call up QuickBooks with some questions, granted, if it's within daylight time in Canada, then we will answer with Canadian support. And we are trained locally with Canadian accountants in mind. And finally, our product is being built in Canada. So this year staffed up on engineers in Edmonton for sales tax and payroll, and that's our big focus right now, is creating a phenomenal payroll and sales tax experience that fit Canadian accounting workflows. Aside from that, we're also investing heavily in tax workflows. You all know Profile, I'm sure, and I'll kind of tease out some other stuff that we're working on in the tax space. Before I get into what's new, if you want to find out who your account manager is, the best way to do that, if I can find my mouse, there it is when you're in QuickBooks Online Accountant, and I'm hoping you can still see my screen, then you're going to click on the left side where it says Pro Advisor. When you click on that, granted, this is the slowest page to load because there's so much information it's trying to pull. When you click on this, it's going to display your account manager with Intuit in the top left. I don't think I have one because I am not an accountant or a bookkeeper, but it would be up here with the contact information for your rep. Cool. So let's get into some of the new stuff. So what we'll chat about today is like I said, a couple updates that we touched on at the last webinar that I did with Alan in June, and we'll also talk about some new stuff that's come out, including progress invoicing, which has been a really exciting feature come out on QuickBooks Online. And then on the accountant side of things, we've had updates to the wholesale billing pages, the apps page, and a ton of improvements to practice management. And so we'll jump into all of that. Awesome. So progress invoicing, we're really, really excited about. This launched in late summer, and this is the ability to invoice in the progress of an estimate of a project. So if a client of yours wants to invoice a partial amount partway through one of their projects. And so let me show you exactly how it works. Now, I'll preface that I am not an accountant or bookkeeper. If I do anything that is out of touch and in the wrong line item or assigned the wrong way, please forgive me. To activate progress invoicing in your account or your client's account, it must be a QuickBooks Online Plus account. That's an important caveat. This is only active in Plus accounts. To make sure that it's online, active, ready to go, in the settings gear icon at the top of your client's QuickBooks Online, you're going to go to Account and Settings. Once I click on this, you'll head down to the Advanced tab on the bottom left here of the side menu, and just about 3/4 of the way down the page, you'll see Projects. use project financial tracking, and you're going to set that to on. Mine's already set to on. Once it's on, it doesn't turn off, so make sure you decide whether or not you actually want it, and whether or not your client really needs more options in front of them. Cool, so I've set that on. The next step is I'm going to head over to the Sales tab here. And I've already got estimates selected. And here are my client's list of estimates. So if I was a client, I can click on my estimate here. Perfect, here are all the products and services that I'm providing. And I'm gonna create an invoice. I'm partway through this project, and I'm gonna create an invoice that I want to send to the customer. So this is what's new. You can choose to invoice for the total amount of all the line items, or you can do a custom amount for each line. So I can set this to 50%, or I don't know, whatever, 20%, and it'll update automatically. Or I can create a custom amount for each line. So let's do that. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Perfect. So I created my invoice here. Here are all my lines. And what I'm going to do is under this due column, I'm going to click on it, and I can set an amount or a percentage of the total quantity that will be invoiced. So we'll say I'm going to do, I don't know, 50 of 200 for doghouse demolition, and for excavation, maybe I'll do, I don't know, 20%. And then for dog snuggles, we'll do 100% of dog snuggles, quantity 5, of course. So what it will do is it's going to calculate and add up all of these amounts and the custom totals that I've set. Here's the balance due. I'm going to save that. And what it's done is it's linked this invoice of custom amount back to that estimate. So there's the estimate under linked transaction at the top left. I click on estimate, it'll take me back to that estimate. And what's really neat is it will show the invoiced subtotal right now. So a client can see how much has been paid and how much is still owing for any given project. So this is awesome. It helps clients get paid faster. It helps them understand the profitability and how much is left over in the estimate. Really cool. So again, that's in QuickBooks Online Plus, and take a look. It's a very fun feature. And this is kind of related to a feature that we've been talking about for about a year now, and that's QuickBooks Online Projects. I won't go deep into this, but if you can activate QuickBooks Online Projects, again, in the same place up in the gear menu up here. And here are my projects. And this is for your clients to understand their project profitability for grouping their income and expenses into one unified place. So between those two, some awesome new features for your clients to get into and kind of dig their teeth into. And for you to kind of just see where all the money's going. Awesome. So I think I'm 9 minutes in. I'm going to take this time, Casey, and we'll do that little poll, make sure everybody's still awake and paying attention. Well, I'm glad insufficient security wasn't at the top there. That makes you feel good if you're using QuickBooks. Thanks, Casey. I'm not sure how to make this thing go away. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Let's jump back to the old presentation here. Cool, so that's some of the quick updates in QuickBooks Online. We'll jump over to the accountant side of things now. And if you don't know already, there are two sides to QuickBooks Online. There's QuickBooks Online Accountant and QuickBooks Online. The accountant version is the one we give you, the accounting professional, for free. And that gives you your own set of QuickBooks Online Plus books and plus a bunch of other tools for you to do all your accounting workflows. A couple of latest updates in the accountant space is a new wholesale billing center. Now, I don't have any clients in my fake account, so I can't show you what this looks like, but this is kind of the general idea. It's got a brand new interface that helps you better see which subscriptions you are paying for in a wholesale manner of QuickBooks Online customers. You can also batch actions like remove clients and make them bill for themselves, check to see the status of all of them. All the billing information is all right there. So that's the latest update. You can go in and check that out under the gear icon in the top right of QuickBooks Online Accountant, and then clicking on your account on the right side, not the accountant settings on the left side. Awesome. So if you've heard me speak before, either at the last webinar in June or even at Alan Salmon's tour across the country last year, I talked a lot about practice management in QuickBooks Online Accountant. And the reason for that is that we've made a lot of investment in it as making this one space for you to kind of keep track of everything that's going on in your firm and not let anything fall through the cracks. That's our big goal. That's what we're shooting towards. And we've got a ton of features that are coming out with it and a lot of requests from everyone who have started using it already. It's a really neat spot because this is our goal, to make this the place where you know that everything has been done, that everything's been done properly, that everything is settled so you can sleep at night and go home on the weekends. And let's take a look into it. Alrighty. Okay, so we're back in QuickBooks Online Accountant here. To get to practice management, if you haven't been in it, it's in the work tab on the left side. So I'm going to click into work here. And this looks a bit like an Asana or a Trello board or a Kanban board, it's called, this style of having cards across of all your do lists. So this is where you manage your tasks and your projects that are associated with your clients. So let's get an idea of what this looks like. I've got my clients right here in the top left. I've got the people in my firm right here, all my team members, and I can filter by any one of those. So let's pick one of my clients here. I'm not sure if any of you know Scott Zandbergen. He's going to be my pretend client today. All right, so Scott is a brand new client, let's say. I want to create some new onboarding tasks for him. Some of the features we had existing in this practice management space, you can go in, create your new project, Scott's onboarding. I would assign this task to Scott. Perfect, there's my client. I'm gonna do that job. I'm the only person who has access to this client, so I'm the only person it can be assigned to. And I'll have this due date, let's say, just for the end of the month there. Now I can set projects to repeat if I like. I don't really need that for onboarding, but you can set it to repeat in whatever interval you like, see the upcoming due dates for that project. And then for this onboarding, I could add a whole bunch of subtasks. I don't know, train on QuickBooks Online, something like that. And you can have that set for next Friday. And I can add as many one of these subtasks as I want. And when I save them, it's going to drop right into my board here. Oh, and I'll get to that in a minute, what that is. So here's my tasks upcoming for Scott. This is not new. This are some of the existing features. All right, let's say this project's done. Don't need that anymore. Perfect. What we've done that's new is we had a lot of people coming on saying, okay, this is great, but I don't want to create these tasks every single time. I do a lot of the same workflows. And we took that back and we have made templates for you. So if you go in, these are Canadian-based templates. So we have two options. You can either create your own, kind of in that style that I just did. If I clicked on this, I would create the template name, I would set whether it repeats or not, and add all of the tasks that are associated with that template. So if you have your own workflows, awesome. You can go in here and make templates. We also, if you just want to kind of get an idea of some stuff maybe you should be thinking about, or just to get started using this, we've created some Quickstart templates down here. And these Quickstart templates were created by Lee McKenzie, who is the product manager for QuickBooks Online Accountant in Canada. And he consulted with a bunch of bookkeepers and accountants in Canada to create these templates. They're not going to apply to everybody, and they're probably not perfect for anybody, but they're an awesome start. So you can click into this and see kind of what might be a template that you could get started with. This one is a bookkeeping template, or here's that client onboarding that we were just looking at. So I can preview, are these all the things that I want for my client onboarding? yeah, that looks pretty good. So I can either duplicate this and customize the template to my liking, or I can create a project right from this. So I'll go to create a project. I'll call this client onboarding Scott. I'll do the same thing. I'll assign that to Scott, set a due date to, I don't know, yeah, let's go back to end of September. And here's all of the subtasks that it's already assigned. Now it doesn't know what due dates you want these subtasks to be due on. So if it's you or a bookkeeper at your business or someone helping out with this task management, they could go in and set the appropriate due dates for all of these subtasks. Once I've done that, it's going to save into my work template here. Now everything is due this week, unfortunately, but that's what it'll look like, and it'll quickly create those projects for you directly in work. Really awesome. Now you've noticed maybe a couple times on the top right, every time I do something in here, there's a notification that happens. So if I click done, you'll see a notification pop up on the right. Okay, so there's my notification. I'm going to drag this over to my main screen. If you haven't used Slack before, it's a very neat tool. Oh, my screen is being very grumpy. Slack is a tool for project management that a lot of teams use. We use it at Intuit for chatting with each other. What we've done for practice management is we've integrated this practice management space with Slack. So every time you do something, you can have it set to where you have updates on when someone else at your firm completes a task or whether a task is assigned to you. It will pop up in Slack under the channel associated with that client. So you can see the channel Scott_Zandbergen here. That's all the tasks that have kind of been done when they're due. These are very generic tasks, that's why they don't look very good. Or you'll get notifications saying, yeah, a task has been marked in progress. A task is ready for me to start, whatever. Lots of different options, but it's a great way to make sure that nothing falls through the crack. And also Slack's a great tool for just keeping in touch with your team, especially if you have people who aren't in the office. Slack is a free tool to use. You can go and download it, go to Google Slack somewhere. The only caveat is that if you use the free version, Slack only records 10,000 messages. So if I scrolled up, it would only hold 10,000 of these messages until I decided to pay for the upper version. Now, a lot of people have said, okay, well, Slack's great. I don't actually use Slack, or they're saying Slack is just too much of a fire hose. I feel like I'm drinking from this fire hose and there's so much information coming at me all the time. So we've added the ability to customize what you get notified of, and we're adding a lot more customizations coming. So you can change those settings for Slack by clicking on that notifications button up at the top here, and then you can see under Slack settings. So you can click on that and adjust it. Now, as I mentioned, some people don't have Slack, have no interest in using it, but you still want to be notified of certain things. And we've added email notifications. So now you can choose whether you want to be notified from new assignments to yourself, due dates, status, you name it, it's been assigned to somebody else, or the name of the project's changed, whatever. All of this can be customized right here, and you'll get an email notification as you prefer it. This is launched in almost everybody's account. If it's not in your account yet, it will be by Friday, is what I'm told. And then what it'll basically look like is you'll see this email come in saying, oh, you've got a new project. You'll see all the subtasks, and you can click right from this email and it will drop you back into the practice management space for you to complete the task. So those are a lot of the big features that we've done to improve the practice management tool within QuickBooks Online Accountant. There's a lot more I hadn't mentioned that I would encourage you to go and kind of poke around with. Things like you can create client requests for them to go and complete, and these requests drop right into your practice management space, and your client gets notified on their end for them to submit documents or make sure that they do something for you. So you can bother them a bit more that way, make sure it's an official task. Go in and check that out. And you can also have tasks pull in from QuickBooks Online, things like unaccepted transactions or payroll is due on this date, stuff like that. It will automatically pull using this kind of toggle here. I've mentioned we've made a lot of investment into this, and that's because we've heard so many times from different accountants and bookkeepers that they want to know that everything has been done. They want to know when a reconciliation didn't go through, or when something in the workflow needs addressing, or when it's just been done and it has been gone correctly. So that's where we're headed with this. We are investing more to make this more integrated, have more notifications, so that this becomes the place where you can go on, take a look every morning and say, yes, I know exactly how everything is working today. Also, hopefully it drops the emails a little bit in your inbox. So definitely take a look at the practice management space. This is all free within QuickBooks Online Accountant. One last thing I'm going to check out before I jump back to the presentation slides is the apps tab. Just a very quick one I'm just remembering right now. If you haven't gone in here, go check it out. You can download all these apps to either add to your own QuickBooks Online account at the bottom left here, or you can attach it to your clients. And what we've done recently is just made it easier for you to navigate this whole space. So you can see all the apps assigned to your clients by clicking on the client apps at the top here. I don't have any clients, which is why my subscriptions are all expired. Or you can see which apps are assigned to your firm. You can see my Slack app. There's the one that I was just using. And I've also got T-Sheets on here because T-Sheets is great. The other thing we've done is made it a bit easier for you to kind of understand what you're getting into when you click onto an app. So when you click on an app, you can see very quickly an overview of why this is great, why you're going to love it, how it actually works with QuickBooks. A lot of these have videos for you to just understand how the whole experience works. We've got reviews. You can see what other people are thinking about it. Yeah, so definitely check that out. We've got some promotions on right now for a few apps if you want to go check those out. In Canada, these 8 apps are on promotion if you want to go in and get those at a discount for your clients. The only caveat is that you would be doing wholesale billing for these apps. So you would accept the bill for the app, and you can either choose to bill your client at that 25% off or bill them more. I'm not going to tell anybody. Awesome. So let's head back into the PowerPoint. That is what is new this summer, I guess, in QuickBooks Online Accountant. Other things have come out. Those are kind of the big ones, and so much more is coming out next. And so I'll give you a very quick sneak peek into what to expect in the coming months. Recently in the past, I mentioned a lot of sales tax improvements. I'm not going to go into these because these have kind of I've beaten these to death talking about them so many times. But if you haven't heard of them, there's some good sales tax improvements. Like I said, lots of investment happening in Canada in the sales tax space. The ability to make sales tax inactive or tax rates inactive, unfiling sales tax transactions, assigning tax codes by the customer. We now have journal entries that publish to the Sales Tax Center, and we have sales tax in QuickBooks Self-Employed. Lots of stuff for you to go and play with in that space. One new one, which is coming out very soon, and I'm sorry I don't have a screenshot of it, and it's not live even in my QuickBooks Online yet, so I can't tell you exactly what it looks like, but we're redesigning the Manage Tax interface. So you will be able to go in and just press on Manage Tax in the Tax Center to see all of the rates and settings in one place. It's going to make maintaining that just a lot easier. You can thank Malika on Facebook for all of these, by the way. The other one I will touch on very quickly, but I cannot give you any more details, is one I've been very teasing out a little bit over time, and that is the tax returns in QuickBooks Online Accountant. All I can say is that imagine a tool that is finally online, finally on Mac, where you can file returns all in one place, where your clients' QuickBooks Online books data can be managed. You do all your bookkeeping, all your accounting workflows, do your year end, and then do either tax return and e-file all from within QuickBooks Online Accountant. I can't give you any more details than that. It's very exciting though. We've got a few beta testers on it now who are loving it. We're just ironing out the final kinks before we get ready to announce it to the world. Stay tuned in the next coming months. The other couple things that I will touch on very quickly. If you want to find out what's been released, what's new in QuickBooks Online Accountant, you can go to this URL, quickbooks.ca/released. I personally update this and make sure that it is up to date. So if you type in quickbooks.ca/release, you're going to land on this page, QuickBooks Online Accountant Release Notes in Canada. Here's where you can see everything, when it came out, what's new, all the details, more information if it applies, and just very quickly, everything that's come out. As you can see, we're putting out stuff all the time, and these are just like big features. We're always crushing bugs. We're always adding little tiny tweaks, and don't worry, we hear you. We see your comments on Facebook. We're getting your feedback through our support center. Lots of feedback coming, and our engineers are working hard. You can also check out our product webinar recordings up here, spring and summer, that we, basically it's similar to this presentation, just a bit longer of the latest stuff that's come out. Before I close off, definitely get involved with our communities if you haven't already. This is a great place to get help from other people if you're looking at adding more cloud to your business, going completely virtual, or maybe you just want to go and work from your boat in the Caribbean. Doesn't matter, there's somebody on here who's done it. Go check out QBO and Quinty and QBHQ on Facebook. Finally, when you're sending your questions to me after this webinar, please note that I can't answer any questions about your client or any specific technical challenges. I can definitely answer questions related to this content I've talked about, related to new features. If you need help with client issues, please give us a call or chat with us. Or the other way to get in touch with us is from QuickBooks Online Accountant. We have a handy dandy question mark on the top right. You click on that, it's going to pop up. You can either search your question right here and it will pop up all of our support resources, or you can start a chat or give us a call. This is the best way to get support as fast as possible. With that, I think I'm going to close off. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. You can get in touch with me in those two Facebook groups, QBO in Quinty and QBHQ on Facebook. My name is Thomas Ostapchuk. Thanks so much for listening. Alan, I'll turn it back to you.
Great, Tom. I can't wait until I see the new tax things. There we go, and I'm going to wrap up. But before I wrap up, I want to share some news with you. On October the 1st, I will be releasing a new tool, and it's going to solve the following problem. 9 out of 10 computer networks and standalone computers have potentially serious IT and security problems that are undetected. And this tool will analyze your hardware, your software, your configuration, your accessibility and security risks, and generate a risk report and a management report that tells you what needs to be done. It's going to be very affordable, and you will find 3 questions when you do the survey relating to that new tool. And on that note, I am going to say thank you for Tom, thank you to Casey, and it's a wrap.